Hey, good evening, everybody. Please turn on your camera so we have as if we were in a classroom. You can see everyone. If you can't, you can't, but if you can, why not? Okay, so welcome to our weekly connection. We're going to connect to the portion of Pikudei from the Zohar, page 4, volume 13 in English. Ellen, are you going to be able to read?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Rabbi Thea opens with, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full, saying that these rivers are the secret of the Sfirot, that are the holy rivers that fill the great sea, Malchut. The sea then flows over and provides water for the animals in the field. The sea of Malchut takes in the springs the lights of Zeranpin and pours them out into the holy chariots below. All of these are named and counted by Malchut. We are told that the tabernacle in the opening verse is Malchut, and that the grades that she waters correspond to the utensils of the tabernacle, all of which are called by name.
אלה פיקודי המשכן, משכן העדות אשר פוקד. על פי משה וגומר, רבי חייא פתח, כל הנחלים הולכים אל הים, והים איננו מלא וגומר. היקרא הוא כמוה ויתמר, אבל כל הנחלים ילן רזין, דין חלין ומבואין, קדישין, דהתמליין, ונפקין להנהרה ולמליה. להיא ימה רבה, וכיוון דהיא ימה רבה יתמלא מסתרה, דהינון נחלין כדנו הוא אפיק מיה. והשקה לכל כיוון ברא, כדאי דכתיב, ישקו כל חייתו שדי.
These are the accounts of the tabernacle of the testimony as they were counted according to the commandments of Moses. Rabbi Thea opened the discussion with the verse, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. This verse has already been elucidated and learned. Yet all these rivers are the secret of the holy rivers and springs, the Sfirot of Zeranpin that filled and flowed to illuminate and fill this great sea, Malchut. And when the great sea is filled by these rivers, it flows over and waters the field animals, as it is written, they give drink to every wild beast, which are the grades of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah.
מה כתיב לאלה המשלח מעיינים וגומר, ולבטר ישקו כל חייתו שדי, יסברו פראים צמאם, אילני נון רתיחין, דילתתה דחד ימה נקית לון, כלהו נקית לון ושאיב לון בגבה, ולבטר אפיק מעין, לסדרה אחרה, דהינון רתיחין קדישין דילתתה, ואשקלון וכולהו יתמנון ויתפקדון. בשמה כדאי דכתיב לכולם, בשם מקרא ובגין כך, אלה פיקודי המשכן, משכן העדות.
In the verse preceding, they give drink to every wild beast as he sends the springs into the valleys, and after it, they give drink to every wild beast. The wild asses quench their thirst. These are the lower chariots of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, called the wild beasts and wild asses. And when the sea, Malchut, receives the springs, the lights of Zeranpin, it takes and swallows them inside and lets water out on the other side, which is the holy chariots below in Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and waters them, and all are counted and numbered by name. For all the grades that Malchut waters, she calls by name, as it is said, he calls them by all names. Therefore it is written, these are the accounts of the tabernacle, for the tabernacle is Malchut, and the grades that she waters, namely the utensils of the tabernacle, are accounted, that are called by name.
Thank you. So this portion is talking about the building of the tabernacle, and in many lessons before, if you had the chance to participate in those classes year after year, when we're talking about the tabernacle, we're not talking about necessarily something that is physical. We're talking about a spiritual metaphor. So when we're talking about the tabernacle, that is at some point traveling, and then it gets to the temple, the building of the first temple and the second temple. What we're discussing here is sort of like the holy place, the holy center that is represented in the life of each one of us. That tabernacle obviously doesn't exist anymore, because that's, we're talking about something that happened 3,400 years ago. There are some speculations as where are some of the parts of the tabernacles today, but I won't get into that. And even if we were to put all those pieces together today, I don't know if it would be activated. So if you will, you could have like all the right parts and all the right pieces, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the juice is flowing. And in another way, whatever work the Israelites have done 3,400 years ago, the consecration and the manifestation of their accomplishment and their and what it is that they have achieved is the tabernacle followed up by the temple. So we could say, the temple and anything that was and existed during the time of the temple, the first and the second temple, there was world peace. Not because people didn't want to go to war, it was a level of consciousness that was accomplished by humanity. And as I'm saying those words, it was accomplished and it was executed by whoever was alive in that time. And the tabernacle and the temple were just mere physical manifestations. We have to remember that they're still part of this physical reality. So even if they are magical, and every aspect of the tabernacle is magical, the breastplate is magical, the way that they built the temple is magical, but still it is part of this physical reality that if we are to extrapolate, compared to, by extension to the spiritual realm, anything that is manifested in the physical reality is already very limited. And if we are, like in this portion, in those verses, we're talking about, the upper world, or we're talking about a Zeir Anpin, that would be the realm where everything is manifested first, and then as I would say, as a physical projection, it would appear as something that would be in tune or in the right dynamic of what it is that we have accomplished. So in other words, if you do your spiritual work and you overcome your inner demons and your fears, etc., certain things would start appearing and manifesting in your life as a result of your accomplishment and transformation. And so that is basically the same, by extension, the same result in a very simplified way. The mere understanding of what the tabernacle and the temple are. They are not, I would say, aligned with one people. It is truly representing the level of consciousness of humanity, because there was no war. So even if the location, which was in today's Israel, by the way, back then there was no name as such a country, Israel, it was Canaan, but even if it was in this energy center, it was still affecting, radiating around the entire globe. So the epicenter would be where the temple was built. but that was so strong and strong enough to radiate around the entire planet. Now, what I want to take away from this is, if we're just to learn about the building, the technicality, the architectural teachings that there is to learn from the building of the tabernacle, or even like the miracles, like I don't really want to talk about this tonight. I want to, like, how is this relevant for me? What would be, I would say, representing the temple, representing the tabernacle in my life? And again, it's the laws of cause and effect. So in order for me to manifest something that is beautiful and pure and connecting, fulfilling me, my heart, my soul, my being, would be the result of all the work that I'm doing on myself, and my energy, and the way that I express myself, and that I react to things, and that I hope, and that I dream, and that I project, and that I plan, and that I set goals, and as a result, that would be sort of the effect of all the work that I'm going to do in these coming days, in these coming weeks, etc. So if I was to ask this question, what would the manifestation of that tabernacle, and by extension the temple, what would it represent in your life? To be connected, to be plugged, to enter your own temple, what does it mean? And by the way, it doesn't have to be like something that is like grandiose and something that is like too vague and too general, because it can be very, very specific. So, I just remember, a conversation that I had with Hillary, that she started like a job with Oleg, and those are, two good friends of mine, and I love both of them, and they're amazing, and I think that it's a great match, but it's not the point. The point is that, Hillary, the same as me, the same as each one of us, we walk through a certain process, and that process can be, I can't really exactly remember, Hillary, how long you worked for this company before, that before working in the center, like, can you like share with everybody, like just for the sake of the example?
25 years.
25, that's a perfect example. So 25 years. I worked this far 21 years in the center. And before that, I didn't have anything, like I would say lasting, but this is really the longest thing that I've ever done, 21 years. And so this is one thing. And then you start another job. Or if it is in relationship, it's the same thing, like the understanding, the vibration, the vibe, the energy is the same. When you're starting something new, there is, let's call it like the honeymoon period, where we find everything is wonderful, and we're meeting people, and we do new things, and we're in the learning process, and it's somewhat nervous, and somewhat exciting, and somewhat fearful, and somewhat all sorts of different emotions, but overall it's good. And then after the honeymoon period starts the sort of like the discovery period, where we are learning about each other, like some things that I didn't know about you, and some things that I wish I didn't know about you. And so that's like the discovery period. And we have that with everything. And that can be with a new job, that can be with a romantic relationship, that can be with a new neighborhood. We just moved to this beautiful place, and we are in the honeymoon period. Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And so, like in a few months, I'm sure we're going to start, like the discovery phase, because you passed the buzz and the excitement and everything, and like by nature, it's the physical nature to start paying attention to things that. Why? Because it's going to get boring, like always, like miraculous and great and perfect. It's too boring. So, for our human nature, we need some excitement, and some excitement does not always go up. Excitement is roller coaster. I do not know a roller coaster that only goes up. Roller coasters, they scare us. I mean, some people get the most scared when they go up. Why? Because they know that at some point it's going to go down. And then there are some people that get really frightened by the moment that it goes down. I mean, it depends really on the nature or whatnot. But life is like that, unfortunately. But if we are to think of, from the Zohar perspective, Zir and Pin perspective, or tabernacle or the temple perspective, there is no down. There is no down. There is no such a thing as down. It's only up and only better day after day. Now, for us to conceive this with our rationale, it's very hard because we have nothing to compare it to. Anything that is in our life is like a roller coaster. And sometimes it is manageable, we can manage, and sometimes it's hard, and that's when we cut off. Divorce or quit, job, relationship, we move to different places. And, like there is a kid in Mimi's school that is not getting along with another kid because she feels that she's bullied, but the other kid is feeling bullied also. So the parent, instead of like dealing with the situation and teaching the kid on how to handle challenges, they're saying, no, let's cut it off. Next year, we're not in this school. You can be almost certain, 100% certain, that when an individual has a tikkun, the tikkun is going to follow you wherever you go. Now, going back to this idea, wherever I am right now in my life, and again, I love those lists, list in relationship with my physical health, with my marriage and my kids and work and, hobbies or whatnot. Remember that the nature of our being is to find the right word. I guess the best word is comfort. The best word is comfort. Our being, not our soul, because our soul is in constant movement. It's like the light. It's no end. No end. But the body consciousness is seeking something that it can manage, something that it can handle. And so this is why, even if you're in a bad relationship, even if you're in toxic relationship, it's comfortable. Why is it comfortable? Because you know it. You know it, you know what to expect, etc. It's sad to say, by the way, right? Because you can be in a bad relationship, you know that it's wrong for you, but you've been in there like for way too long. But once you've passed the cap and you changed the things and you're in a different story, context, relationship, job, or whatever, that is when you find yourself rejuvenated. There is a word to describe that in Yiddish, and that is, I don't speak Yiddish, I just know a few words. And that word is mechaye. And mechaye is coming back to life. So that is true when you're finding yourself in a very bad, negative situation, and you come out of it. And it's like your soul, your being, your happiness is coming back to life. So what I'd like to say with that is, don't wait for things to turn sour. Constantly, consistently be a seeker of new things, a seeker of new relationship, a seeker of new experiences, because as soon as you got used to what it is that you're into, it's already too late. It's already countdown. The count up, remember, it's the honeymoon period. Now, if you're starting a new romantic relationship, I'm not saying, no more romantic relationship. You need to be like, how they call it? No, I'm not going to say it. It's not appropriate. But, like a change relationship every year. That's not what I'm suggesting. Or you can be in the same relationship and rejuvenate the relationship every month, every 6 months. Do create something new, do something new. If you are in a job, I'm not suggesting you to quit your job, but I am suggesting do not always do the same thing, because that is consciousness, that is energy that is affecting everywhere. It does not affect just your job. So it is comfortable. You check all the boxes, you post your time in and time out, and everything is great. And you know what? You could do this job from the beginning to the end until you're retired. And there's some people that do that. But truthfully, if you ask them, do you like your job? They don't necessarily like their job. Some of them don't care. You pay the bills. But imagine how much more you could be if you were to be a seeker of more. I'm not saying different. And this is really what the light represents, what the manifestation of the tabernacle, because the manifestation of the tabernacle is peace. Peace is what? Is no, I don't want to say like it's a little bit like extreme to say no problems. We'll always have challenges because they are the means to the end to earn the light. So we don't want to be in a place where we say, I don't want any more challenges. We do want challenges, but we want to be in a place where we are healthier, more balanced in our head, more balanced in our reactions and the way that we handle things. And that would lead us to a place where we have found and manifested our tabernacle and our temple. Now today, the temple could be this relationship. The temple could be this job. The temple could be this neighbor. The temple could be your relationship with your kids. It is a place where you feel inner peace. It is a place where you feel that you are productive, that you are giving, that you are the light, that you are not stopping at what is traditionally normal. Normal, used to, comfortable, that's not good. I'm not saying to run away from things that are like, again, like I wish and I hope that we're not going to misinterpret what I'm saying. The idea is to not find ourselves in a place where we do something, we passed the honeymoon, and now we are in that comfort zone. I see it, and I've heard it in many relationships where we have already passed the cap of the honeymoon. We have passed the cap of the discovery, and after the discovery, there is the cap of walking on eggshell. Walking on eggshell is that you know what triggers the other person. So you're being careful at not talking about this, not talking about that, not addressing this topic and not addressing that topic, because it would go into an implosion of your relationship or marriage or friendship. And that is not a good place to be in. Why? Because you cannot be you. You cannot be true to yourself. You cannot reflect out into the world what your soul came to shine and manifest. If you have a relationship like this where you can be yourself, where you're not afraid that the person on the other line is going to get offended, is not going to want to talk to you, or is going to judge you because you have this opinion or because you believe in certain things. Unfortunately, the world that we live in today, it's the total opposite of that. Because of politics and because of political parties, or because of opinions, because of beliefs. So without going too much into the details, and I won't say any names, my wife is like, she went out with a group of friends, and there was like another friend who just moved from New York. And, I won't say the topic, but, she was saying, yeah, like they were on the same page on one of the topics that they were discussing. And both of them were agreeing that they needed to basically not approach that topic with the rest of the girls, because, like they were totally opposite. And if they hear, talking about that, they just go berserk. And this is the dynamic that we are in today. So thank God that, she found this other friend that she could just be herself. She loves the other girls, my wife. She loves the other 3 or 4 girls, but she knows that there is this topic, that topic, and that topic that you cannot talk about. And I find this so, unfortunately, true, but sad. Sad because you cannot be yourself. And so, in my opinion, and maybe it's my French side, the French would say, il vaut mieux être seul que mal accompagné, which means it's better to be alone than in bad company. So, I mean, I've always been shy, but I'm not like, I'm outgoing and this and easy to talk to, but, I get like a, like a rough start. Once I'm started, I'm good, but, I first like, I'm going to analyze the situation and I'm going to plant some seeds to see how true can I be myself or true to myself with my environment. And if I cannot be myself in my environment, it's not a safe environment for me. And I mean, each and every person can operate in the way that you feel safe to operate. But this is me, and everything that you see is what you're going to get. And I like to be 100%. And if I'm not 100%, I don't feel me. And so if we're having a conversation and there is something that I cannot talk about because it's like, like the eggshell phenomenon, this is not a safe place for me. So obviously there is like the mutual respect and everything, but the idea here is that I wanted to find in my own self, but also for my family and my friends and my students and everything that is by extension me, how can I manifest and create this tabernacle that is a safe place, that is a safe place for the light to land in. The light cannot land in a place of ego. The light cannot land in a place of judgment. The light cannot land in a place of manipulation. And so if there is any of that in any relationship, it is just the best of each and every single one of you that's going to come out. But there is no light. Why? Because we are acting. We're not being ourselves. My dream, my projection of what I wish to accomplish with this evening's class and the takeaway is that I would manifest, not build, because it's not building, it's manifesting. The tabernacle, that connection to the light force of the Creator that would be manifested in the temple, and that temple can be a relationship, can be a job, can be a hobby, can be a circle of friends. And especially in the last few weeks or last month, I am in seeking mode. And seeking mode that, meaning that it's not that I'm not happy with what I have, it is that what I have is good and I appreciate it, but if I'm stagnant with it, I'm going to go backwards. And so it's great to have accomplished and achieved certain things in your life, but try not to be stagnant with it. Because a lot of people could say, oh no, I don't need anything, I have everything. That's already backward mode. That's already taking steps back. Because if we're not ascending in spirituality, we are descending. There are no middle. There is no, oh, I'm going to take a break for a while. I've achieved whatever it is that I wanted to achieve, and that's it. So I don't know. There is like this image that popped up in my mind right now. Elon Musk, who is like, I guess, one of the richest guy on earth. He reached like $320 billion. I can't even like imagine. Like if it was in my hands, maybe I could like grasp, but I don't think like if it was like 100 bills like sitting in my room right here, I don't think it would fit. $320 billion. Can you imagine? Anyway, good for him. But then the war breaks in Ukraine, and it's not just him. Like, you know, I take him as an example because I read an article. Like the guy lost, I don't know, by then, you know, since the beginning, like 3 or 4 days already, but overnight he lost 34 billion. Boom, just like that. And so it's funny because we're talking about, you know, the roller coaster, and we see it with everything, even in people that have wealth. You know, like there is this great, you know, Zuckerberg, you know, that, you know, went from Facebook to Meta, and then something happened, and, you know, Meta lost, I don't know, like 200 billion or in value, market value or whatever. Like it is affecting everything and everybody. The roller coaster effect affects everything and everybody. Why? Because we are leaning on the best of us, or the best that I can think, the best that I can channel, the best that I can accomplish. And even if we are believing in God, we're not involving God in what we do and in our decision maker. If we're making decisions, it's great, but I want to be in control. I want to be in control of who I'm going to marry, when I'm going to marry, when we're going to have children, the name of our kids, and where we're going to move, and what we're going to buy, and how I'm going to dress, and what perfume I'm going to wear. I mean, like it goes from one extreme to another. We make decisions, like hundreds of decisions every day, but it is not necessarily involving God. It is involving the best part of me, and, you know, like, you know, I've reached where I am today because I've worked hard, you know, or because I'm smart, or because I've had, you know, one good idea and it made me super rich. At the end of the day, whatever happens, or whatever happened, wherever I am today, is the manifestation of the things that I've accomplished. And in one way or another, many of us are going to sleep and we feel unaccomplished. And that is mainly because we're not involving that spiritual side of us in connection to the infinite. Because the infinite is right here, right there, right everywhere. And that spiritual side of us, which is the soul, which is a spark of that everything, is longing for that reconnection. And once there is a connection, it manifests the temple. And it manifests all the tools and all the walls and all the parts that just came by miracle, came together. And so you could say it's you know, it's Moses, or it's like this guy, or it's this guy, you know, like he was able to put the pieces together and they were not fitting and it wasn't supposed to go in and it went in. So even if he was the channel, it's not him. It's something that is much bigger. And call it faith, call it belief, call it knowing that there is always something that is much bigger than us. And at least let's invite it into our game of life, wherever, whatever you are looking at, in whatever area you want the tabernacle and the temple to manifest. I want the temple to manifest in every area. But that has to involve first elevating our consciousness that we're not alone in doing this. And there is so much more that I can accomplish. But also this aspect that we need to always be in a seeking mode and not be comfortable with what it is that I have accomplished. So I know somebody that, you know, after a long time, finally is in a relationship, and he's been in a relationship for maybe 2 or 3 years, and he proposed, so now they're engaged, but they're engaged now for 3 or 4 years. So I don't want to also invite everybody to be like in a rush to do things, but you will find what we spoke about this evening in every aspect. You can have like the right idea to manifest the next level, but let's see what happens. We don't have to rush. Our love is not going anywhere. Our relationship is not going anywhere. Of course it is. Of course it is, because if the potential of your union is to manifest at this window and you passed that window, it's already a countdown. But countdown for the end. And so I'm not like targeting anybody, on this class. So don't start texting me, oh, did you talk about me? I knew you were referring to me. Now I'm not talking about any of you that are in the class tonight. But if you did take it personal, maybe there is something that you should do about that. So think about it in all these aspects, in all these ways. There is a lot of light to be revealed beneath this idea of building the tabernacle and manifesting the temple in our life. Again, it comes as the effect. The tabernacle and the temple would be the effect of your spiritual work. And this is something that is in motion, that has been set in motion for a long time, not necessarily this life, maybe also from previous lifetimes, that we are here to manifest the next level of us. If we're stagnant with the current level and things are not manifesting, not happening, it's because I'm comfortable. Our fears, our doubts, our uncertainty is what sets in a place where there is a lack of choice. Choice, making decisions, is what removes doubts. Even if it's not the right thing and it ends up being terrible, at least you know it quicker. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years to realize that it was the wrong decision. So that is it for this evening. Any question?
Yehuda, I got a question.
Hi. Good.
How you doing?
How are you? Very well, thank you.
Good, good. When you were talking about that we need to involve more the universe when we make decisions, how do you do that?
Like anything in particular or just in general?
No, because you were mentioning everything in general. Since you wake up in the morning, what perfume I'm going to wear, what I'm going to do, where I work, everything. How do you let the light to get into that decision, and it's not us taking the decision from, I don't know, from our ego or from our what I want, not what I need that day to be a better person?
So I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about myself, and hopefully it would be some level of an answer. As you asking me the question, I already have the answer for me. That if I'm being honest with myself, I know exactly where I'm in a lack of decision, where I am stagnant, where I could do more, where I could be more creative, where I could produce more ideas, activities, generate action and fulfillment and projects, goals. There are certain areas in my life where I am in neutral. I am in neutral. It's like you're going down, and so, we don't drive much manual cars here, but I used to drive a lot, like especially in Europe, you drive manual cars. And when you want to save gas, when you're 18 and 19, you're thinking about saving gas. Especially today, you're thinking about saving gas, but you can't really do it with a automatic. you would put it on neutral. You're going down the hill and you put on neutral to save gas. And this is exactly what life is about. I mean, not what life is about, but what the example is. If it is a relationship, it can be marriage, romantic, friendship, your parents, your friends, your siblings. It's going down the hill. It is going down the hill because there is nothing positive, generous, forgiving, compassionate, letting go, working out certain things that were, like holding you back, or old conflicts. We like to forget things, especially the things that are, reminding us of the inner turmoil. So we prefer to forget about it. So we have all these relationships, and it's down the hill. And it's down the hill because it's not getting better. And I'm not paying so much attention in there. And I'm in neutral. And so if it is in that relationship, or with my physical health, or, like even in my new neighborhood, there is so much more, that I could do to be outgoing or to take care of certain things. So I find myself, gearing towards the things that are comfortable for me. So it's not that I'm not busy. I'm a workaholic. So I would work 12 to 15 hours a day. But is this the right thing? According to what we spoke about this evening, it doesn't sound like it, does it? So if you are honest with yourself as much as I am honest with myself, like just as you were asking the question, I had like 3 or 4 topics. I know that I'm in a lack of decision. I'm in a lack of decision. And I could open that faucet in there and start, dripping some positive, productive decisions to make things better. And I don't know where it's going to lead. Maybe it's going to lead to something that's going to be completely transformational or completely different. Sometimes we don't want to deal with certain things because we're frightened that it's going to go back to the old thing. But if you're thinking about it, you're not the same as the older thing. So if you're facing whatever it is that you need to face right now, it can't go back to the old thing because you're different from the old thing. And if you're coming from a place of light and from a place of generating and improving and infusing positivity and change for the better, I mean, if it leads to a catastrophe, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because it means that it doesn't serve you anymore, and the universe is going to part this away from you. And you know what? It's great because you didn't even have to do that. So if you rushed into the decision of parting yourself from that, generally the light is not in the business. If the light is parting you from that thing that is not serving you anymore, the light is involved. It feels like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? I was praying for it. Like I was hoping that, and you know what? You can start there. When there is something that is like really bothering and really nagging and is not improving and is not positive, and you can always, God help me, I've tried. And you pray and you let go. You pray and you let go. Because the let go is what is going to allow the universe to make what needs to happen, happen. But you understood, everybody understood this idea of the lack of action. That space of lack of action is the down the hill. Is the down the hill, is the neutral, and any of these aspects are not good for us. Even if it saves gas, it's not good for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining, and I'll see you next week on Monday at the same time.
Thanks.
Thank
Yehuda.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening.